Okay, guys, good morning, everyone. So, one second. So, yesterday we had discussed about what are the things, block box testing techniques we had discussed. Okay, I think most of the people joining in online meetings. So, block box testing techniques we had discussed. So, let's discuss other things. Okay. Okay. So, now let's discuss about what is smoke testing and sanity testing. Okay. So what is mean by 1 second? What is the time? Okay, time is 10 o'clock. Okay. So what is mean by smoke testing and sanity testing? So whenever you will get new functional user stories testing. So in the week one, we will write your test scenarios and test cases. And in week two, you have to execute test case, correct? So whenever you will get the application URL, so in testing terminology, we can call it as a build. Okay, application URL, we can call it as a build. Okay, BUILD. So whenever we will get the build, first we have to do smoke testing. Okay, whenever we will get the build from development team, first testing we will do smoke testing. Smoke testing means just clicking on every module and verifying whether the application functionalities are able to access or not. So just you clicked on nationalities module, skills module, whether you can able to navigate and whether you can able to access that web page or not. You are clicking. So you are clicking on across all the applications and you are verifying the application is perfectly working fine now. Able to log in. Login is common. Once you log in, you have to click on every module. And in that submodules also, you have to click on every submodule. So whether you are navigating to appropriate page or not. Okay. So as part of smoke testing, just we can check the basic functionalities are perfectly working fine. Okay. So to do this testing, hardly how much time it might take? It might take just roughly 20 minutes or half an hour time. Okay. So it won't take much time. So just we are checking the build whether it is stable or not. If the build is stable, we can go ahead for the next testing. Next testing means let's go for the new functional user stories testing and regression testing. If the functionalities are not able to access, okay, we could not able to access, there is no point to do new functional testing and regression testing. So we can call it as a, so we have to do smoke testing. Whenever we will get the build, just we will click on every module and we will check whether we can able to access or not. So this type of testing, we can call it as a smoke testing. So let's go for the documentation, what I am describing. So when we get the build from development team, first we will do smoke testing. It is known as build verification testing. If the build is stable, we can continue further testing. If the build is not stable, we cannot continue further testing. And we will inform to the development team that the build is not stable with so and so reasons. We cannot able to test these modules. We can inform to development team as well. In smoke testing, we will do all high-level spot checks. Just we are clicking on all high-level spot checks, whether we are able to access every module or not, including login as well. So there won't be any planned test cases. So planned test cases same undo. So test case means we will write some set of steps. Create skills record, modify skills record, delete skills record. Each test case contains some set of steps. So in smoke testing, there won't be any planned test cases. So just if suppose if it is an Orange HRM application. Okay, let's go to Orange HRM application. So let's go to Orange HRM application. So I had given this application URL. Guys, can you please do the smoke testing I told? So you will click on the login. Yes, login is working fine. And let's click on admin. Yeah, admin it's navigating. Yeah, well, let's go on PIM module. Yeah, it's navigating. Okay. So in under admin module, so whether we can able to skills module, just I'm clicking on skills, whether I can able to navigate or not. Just I'm clicking on add button, whether the new skills form page is opening or not. Just that's it only. I won't execute all the skills record had been created. I won't execute all the detailed steps of the test case. Just I'm checking able to access or not. Okay. So we can do smoke testing. So in smoke testing, there won't be any planned test cases. Just we are clicking on every module and we are checking whether we can able to access or not. So there won't be. So coming to sanity testing, what is meant by sanity testing? Whenever you will get the application build, application URL from the development team, the projects might they follow either smoke testing or sanity testing. Some projects they might follow smoke testing. After that, they will follow sanity testing. Okay. So some projects they will follow only sanity testing. There won't be smoke testing. So it depends on the project. So suppose in my project there is no smoke testing, only sanity testing I am doing. What does that mean? So sanity testing means from every module you will pick one or two test cases, planned test cases. We have written detailed steps, right? Add skills, add jobs, add locations. So from every module we will pick one or two test cases and we will execute those test cases. Means we will prepare test evidences with relevant screenshots. Suppose there are 10 modules are there. From every module, it contains 30 test cases, 30, 30, 30. So let's pick one or two test cases and execute those planned test cases. And if these two test cases are working fine, I can assume remaining 28 functionalities also working fine. Okay. So there will be a planned test cases will be there in the sanity testing. So we will execute and we will prepare test evidences as well. Okay. So it is also known as build verification testing. We will pick one or two priority test cases from every module and we will execute those planned test cases when we get the build. So we are preparing test evidence. Once sanity testing is completed, we will share the sanity test execution summary to development team. So these got passed, these are failed, we can inform. If the build is stable, we can continue further testing. If the build is not stable, we will inform to the development team that the build is not stable and we cannot go ahead with the testing and we will share the test execution summary. Okay, so sanity testing is also kind of build verification, but we can call it as a detailed build verification testing because from every module, just not only just clicking, we are checking entire flow, creation of skills record, creation of jobs records, like that. Okay, so this is known as 1 second. Okay, so this is known as sanity testing. Okay, so 100% interviews people are asking what is the difference between smoke testing and sanity testing. So you have to explain all these things. So the common question when you will do the smoke or sanity, when we get the build from development team, we are doing sanity testing. Which testing will be done first? Smoke testing will be done. After that, we will do sanity testing. Okay, so some projects they might follow only sanity testing. Okay, now let's come back to the next point. System testing. What is meant by system testing? So previously we had discussed system testing means it's a combination of progression testing and regression testing. So new functionalities testing and regression testing. These two we can call it as a system testing. New function for any of the projects, what are the main testings which will be done? New functional requirements testing and regression testing. Together we are calling as a system testing. In system testing, what is the broad classification we can do? So system testing, we can divide it into two types. So the left hand side, whatever you are seeing, we can call it as a functional testing. And the right hand side, whatever you are seeing, all these things we can call it as a non-functional testing. Okay, functional testing means whether a particular functional flow is working fine or not. Creation of jobs, records creation, create skills record, modify skills record. So we are testing particular functional flows are correctly working fine or not as part of function. In non-functional testing, we won't bother whether the records functionality is working fine or not. We will bother about how the application performance is working. Suppose when I logged as a single user, I can able to perform the required operations. But When concurrent users, suppose 1 lakh or 10 lakhs customers logged into the website, whether the application platform is able to respond to every user properly or not on time. So that is known as performance testing. So here we are not testing functional testing, just we are testing performance of the application. So is it supporting to all users at the same time or not? So as part of performance testing, there are 4 classifications. One is load testing, stress testing, security testing, volume testing. These 4 comes under performance testing. So what are the performance parameters? Means load, stress, security, volume. So what is meant by load testing? Let's come back to the load testing. What is meant by load testing? Verifying the application access, connectivity, and transactional operational activities as perfectly working fine or not when concurrent users access the application at the same time, and measuring the performance under client expected load is meeting or not. So that means you are able to access the application same time simultaneously when one. So the client requirement is my application has to support up to has to support 10 lakhs users concurrently at the same time. Okay, so 10 lakhs users has to log in into the web application at the same time, and they have to create some e-commerce application. If you are testing, you have to create 10 lakhs users has to log into the system, and they have to create order. They want to test it. So all the 10 lakhs users, they click the create submit order button, they are doing. The system should not hang. Okay, so we have to verify this functionality. So we have to verify the system performance when 10 lakhs customers are clicking on the submit order. Okay, it has to work. Okay, so the client requirement is 10 lakhs customers. Okay, so that is called. So when concurrent users accessing the application at the same time and measuring the performance under client expected load, the client expected load is 1 lakh customers, 10 lakhs customers. The system is fulfilling the needs or not, application needs. So is it able to manage those many customers or not? Okay, so that is known as load testing. Generally refers to. So these are all not required. Now let's go for the next thing. Stress testing. Stress testing means increasing the maximum load of the users. Suppose the client requirement is 10 lakhs users. Increasing the maximum load of the users and verifying the maximum peak limit or break point of the system access and measuring the system performance is known as stress testing. Suppose after 10 lakhs, still I am able to log into the application. So 1 lakh users got loaded. Again 1 lakh users got loaded. So after 12 lakhs got reached, the system performance, it's not able to responding. So where my system is crashing, where my system performance is degrading, identifying that break point or identifying that peak limit or break point is known as stress testing. Okay, load means the client expected load. So whether it can able to support up to 10 lakhs users or not. Beyond, so whereas stress testing means beyond, we are increasing the maximum load of the users and verifying the maximum peak limit or break point of the system access and measuring the system performance is known as stress test. So everyone is clear what is meant by load or stress. So in load or stress, I'm not bothering about the functionalities. Once functionalities are stable, then only this non-functional testing it will be taken care. For a particular user, functional testing is working fine. Means creation of order is working fine. So when it comes for performance testing, the same thing it can be tested for with so many users. Sir, how it will be tested? 10 lakhs users. So do we really need 10 lakhs testers to test that application? No, it's not required. There are some automation tools. For non-functional testing, people are using JMeter, Load Runner. So these are the tools they are using. So in the system, automatically 10 lakhs sessions will be created, and whenever the script got executed, the creation of order functionality will be tested by 10 lakhs users automatically. So to test these, to create these many sessions, people are using JMeter and Load Runner automation tools for non-functional testing. Okay, so everyone is clear what is meant by load and what is meant by stress testing. Now let's come back to, so in system testing, we understood about load and stress. Now let's come back to security testing. Actually, in the interviews, people will ask a question, have you involved in non-functional testing? No, I have not involved into non-functional testing. I worked on completely into functional testing. So this is the answer you have to tell. But they will expect whether you can able to have whether you have knowledge or not on the definitions. What is mean by load, security, stress? They will check whether you are having knowledge or not. So in that case, you have to know what is these definitions. So system testing means it is a combination of functional testing and non-functional testing. Together system requirements it has to satisfy. Okay. So now let's come back to security testing. So when the application is perfectly working fine all the functional aspects, we also need to make sure the system is also supporting security aspects. So whenever you are doing some third party bill payment transfers, the system should not hack by some other users. The system password should not hack by some other users. So it is properly taken care like OTP checks. Okay, if it is any debit card or credit card numbers in the system, it has to be numbers has to be encrypted format so that no users can able to see those account numbers fully. The password should be encrypted format so that other users cannot able to see it. Okay, so such kind of security aspects also it has to be taken care. So verifying the system access and protection from unauthorized users. System should maintain encryption and decryption techniques during mail file transfers. So whenever you are sending files to some X guy, okay, so it has to send perfectly without hacking by some any of the people. Maintaining security for debit card bank transactions, password protections, implementing OTP checks, all such as security aspects comes under security testing. Security testing is different to functional testing. As part of functional testing, just we are focusing on creation, modifying, delete, update, search center. We are providing all the information and we are clicking on the search so that list of records are displayed. These only we are testing. Okay. Now security testing we understood. Now let's come back to the volume testing. What is mean by volume testing means suppose in the application you have created a record, a customer record you have created. So let's take is the customer record details it is taking 2k bytes, 2k bytes. For another customer it is taking 3k bytes. For another some other customer it is taking 5k. So the customer requirement is the maximum it has to support up to 10k. Customer profile creation it can support up to 10k bytes. So this is the requirement of non-functional requirement. So this requirement it won't be there in the functional requirements. So your job is as part of functional testers, they will create order and they will check whether the record got created or not. They won't check how much volume of transaction of that particular customer it's taking. Our part is whether the functionality is working for a functional test. Whereas volume testing is part of non-functional testing. So after record got created, how much volume is it taking 2k bytes? Is it taking 3k bytes? Suppose if I will give more number of data, if it is taking 12k bytes, it's an issue from the requirements point of view. The system it should maximum it has to support up to 10k bytes only as per the requirement. But if it is also taking 12k bytes, 15k bytes, it's an issue. Okay. So how much volume of data for each transaction, for each record, the system is taking care. So such kind of testing is known as volume testing. So is a performance testing that is used to evaluate the behavior of the software. So you can go through this functional thing what is meant by volume testing. So now we understood in performance testing, okay. In system testing, we understood what is meant by load, stress, security, and volume testing. Everyone is clear? Okay. Coming, so these four we can call it as a performance testing. So coming to performance testing definition, verifying the application performance such as throughput, response time, application access, downloads, and how fast system is responding on different clicks and downloads in the application. The process of evaluating the quality or capability of a product. Okay, performance, how fast the system is responding to the user. If it is single user, obviously it will work perfectly. But how fast the system performance it's working when a concurrent users got loaded. Okay, so throughput means, see here I mentioned about throughput. Throughput means number of jobs performed in a particular time. Example, accessing a web portal in multiple sessions, how the system is responding. What is the throughput? Is it able to access expected load is working fine on? Response time, calculating the average response time, how the system is responding on a clicking of a hyperlink or downloading a file, performing some online payment transactions, how the response time it is taking it. So such all of these aspects which comes under performance testing. So the main classifications of performance testing are load, stress, security, and volume testing. Now let's come back to compatibility testing. Where is compatibility testing here? Compatibility testing. Right, compatibility testing. So we have to test the application on different browser combinations. So by default, we can test in the organization on the Edge browser or Chrome browser combinations. But client is telling you can also test on Firefox browser and Opera drivers, and also you need to test on tablets and mobile devices. This is the requirement. So the same functionality of creation of contact or creation of orders functionality, you have to test what are the list of browsers the client is asking. Okay, and the client is asking on Mac devices or Android devices or tablets. So we have to test. So we are checking the application on different browser combinations and different operating system combinations. That is known as browser compatibility testing. Operating system means Android is an operating system and Chrome browser you are testing application. So you have to test on different operating systems and browser combinations. Okay, so like that. So verifying the application access correctly working fine or not on client expected platforms such as different browsers compatibility and operating such as Chrome browser, Edge browser, and Internet Explorer, and all different operating systems like Windows, Linux, Mac, mobile devices, iOS, Android devices. Okay. Interviews people are asking what is the latest iOS version? What is the latest iOS version? 14 only or 15? 15 Pro Max came, right? So it is 15 now. Latest Android device version is 12. It seems it's 13. It's got updated. So they are asking in the interview. Just I'm telling, giving this information. So what are the different Android operating systems? If you know, means Lollipop, KitKat, Jelly Bean. So these are the things. Okay, now we understood about as part of non-functional testing. Compatibility testing also comes under non-functional testing because we are not testing the application. We are testing on different browsers. The functionality is working in all browser combinations or not. So this comes under non-functional testing.
Even testing APK also comes under compatibility testing.
Huh?
Testing APK
APK file
in mobiles.
That is also comes under non-functional testing.
Then comes under compatibility testing.
Compatibility test. Usability testing. Usability testing means whether the application is easy to use or not. You are able to test the application perfectly on web applications. You opened a laptop or you opened a desktop and you are checking all the web application access perfectly able to working or not. But the same usability, easy to access, easy to click, it has to support in mobile devices also. It has to support in tablets as well. Because when you come for mobile devices, the accessing of it will go some different directions. Whenever you will open, submenus will be opened. So the interaction has to be very easy. So how the usability of the application, whether user is able to perform easily or not. The look and feel of the application is perfectly working fine or not. It should not, the button should not be displayed in a wide range. Okay. And across the application, is it all the buttons are properly aligned or not? Okay. And the color format and everything properly working. All GUI, graphical user interface, perfectly working fine or not, and easy to use and consistency. All these things we have to test as part of usability testing. Okay, right. In usability testing, there is one feature called accessibility testing. Nowadays, interviews people are asking, have you done non-accessibility testing? Straightforward, you can test. No, I haven't worked on accessibility testing. I never got chance to work on non-functional testing set. All the right hands, all these performance testing, you can say straightforward. So what is the accessibility testing means? Testing, okay, let me go through that one. Accessibility testing. Verifying the application access and functionality can also used or managed by physically challenged people as well. So the software can easily able to interact with some blind people, some dumb people. Okay. Suppose in your remote control, whenever you will click accessibility option, automatically when the mouse go cursor it will go, it will prompt you. This is a volume button. This is volume increase button. This is volume low button. So the moment when I will click, when I will keep the mouse over, okay. So it will be prompted based on the listening of the sound. The user will click on that application. Okay, so that is called accessibility testing. So verifying the application access and functionality can also be used and managed by physically challenged people. Accessibility. So even those people also can able to access it or not. So generally that kind of testing we won't do. So that is non-functional testers they will do. Okay. Non-functional testing is a different course, guys. Okay. So just for terminology wise, you have to know what is meant by accessibility testing. And the next one is reliability testing. Let's come back to reliability testing. Reliability testing means ensures that the system should not break at any point of time. Reliability testing ensures that the system should not break at any point of time. Reliability testing is performed to ensure that the software is reliable and it satisfies the purpose for which it is made for the specified. Example, washing machine chip. So 10 minutes it has to rotate the round direction, and after 10 minutes it has to rotate anti-clockwise direction. Okay, so that is reliable. So the system should supposed to work like that. Okay, wherever the application has to test these kind of reliable aspects. Okay, so as part of reliability testing, we have to test that the system should not break at any point of time. Suppose you lost power, you had lost your power during some payment transaction. It should not deduct automatically from your account. It has to be means while you are working, the Windows got shut down. Again, when you restarted, it is working perfectly. So the system means reliability testing means particularly this type of testing in the satellites, whether the things are going at the destination properly or not. So they want to calculate in floating decimals accurate values. So in such cases, people will use reliability testing. Generally in functional testing, we want to reliability testing. Recovery testing. Recovery means the name itself, it is having that definition. The system should recover from abnormal situation to normal situation. So I told you, if the Windows got lost during your interview, your power lost and the system got shut down. And whenever you restarted, again the Windows is loading freshly. So recovery, the system should recover from abnormal state to normal state. That is known as recovery testing. So suppose during bank transaction, the power has gone suddenly and it has to recover back to normal state and should not impact on the transaction for the user. And even power failure also, we can give the example. Okay.
So suppose a user is working on certain application, but application server goes down. Then which testing can
server is closed means it comes under functional testing only. So see, you are testing an application. Other application, it has to give some data. If the other application was down, means that functionality is not working. You clicked on some page and the data is coming from some other component and you are able to see the data. So the other component is not responding. So the main functional testing is failed. Okay, so it comes under functional test.
Entire application goes down also
functional testing. So before coming into non-functional testing aspects, the system should satisfy the minimum requirements of functional testing. After that only non-functional testing people will bother. Because if functional testing is not working, there is no point for doing non-functional testing. And localization testing. Localization testing means the system should supposed to work within their local language. So suppose if you go for any of the applications for China, So the application is able to access in English language and as well as in Chinese language. If you go for any Japan websites, so the application is able to access in Japanese language and English websites. So the system should support in their local languages, testing the applications within their local language. So the button names will be something within their local language. So all the buttons are properly working or not. So you are testing localization. So you already tested in the English when it is application got loaded in English and you choose all the buttons got loaded in English. When you choose Japanese language, so the buttons all functionality it's supposed to work. So that kind of testing we can call it as a localization testing. Where is that localization testing? See, localization process of testing the software to ensure that is. So they had given very big definition. Just go through my recording part. So now we understood as part of system testing, there are different non-functional aspects like load, stress, security, volume, compatibility, usability, accessibility, reliability, recovery, localization. All these are non-functional aspects, non-functional parameters. So testing the application with respect to non-functional requirements like load, stress, security, volume, compatibility, usability, accessibility, reliability, recovery, localization, all this comes under non-functional testing. Okay, people will ask what is non-functional testing? Testing the non-functional parameters such as performance, load, stress, security, volume, compatibility, usability, reliability, recovery, localization, all these things we can call it as a non-functional testing. Now let's come back to functional testing. So in functional testing, it can be classified as 4 levels. One is module testing. We can also call it as a component testing. We can also call it as a unit testing. So we can call it as a module or component testing. Don't call it as a unit testing. Okay, and means module testing means testing the application of a standalone module. Testing the application of a standalone module. That is known as module testing. What is mean by standalone? Standalone means you want to create a skills record. Okay, you clicked on create skill name, skill description, the record got created within the system. Okay, there is no dependency on another system. Okay, and create jobs record. You are entered job title, job description, job note, and you clicked on save. So job record got created in the system. There is no dependency on another system. But when you come for Amazon application, okay, where you are searching for your products, whether the laptops are available or not. You selected laptop criteria and the system got displayed all the available laptops. There is no dependency on the another system. But whenever you are doing some payment transactions, the application is redirecting to third-party payment transfer. It can be HDFC, it can be net banking, it can be PhonePe, it can be, and using those third-party components, your amounts are got deducting. Okay, so if the application, suppose you want to test a placing an order, you have to test the application. After integrating these two modules, you are testing the end functionality. Okay, so creation of you have created a cart item with list of line items. A cart has been created. Up to that functionality, we can call it as a standalone. The moment when you will click on buy button, it is navigating to some other page. And you have to enter this much amount. And let's click, whenever you will click on payment, it is transferring to other payment screens. So it is transferring to other integrated components. Once the response is coming back, it is giving transaction was success, transaction was declined, the server is very slow. You can try after some time. So these kind of responses we are coming. So after integrating the module, we are verifying the end functionality, whether the transaction was successful, whether the transaction was failed, so we are testing the end functionality. So after integrating the submodules, we are testing the functionality, end functionality. So that is known as integration testing. Module testing means the scope of the functionality within that application itself. Okay, The scope of the application is integrating with some other component and you are responding the transaction or status. So that comes under integration testing. Okay. So let's go for module testing. Module testing. Where is the module test? So module testing. Testing the individual component or testing known as module testing or standalone module functionality before integrating with other modules. Okay, that is known as module testing. And what is mean by integration testing? Integration testing means after integrating the modules, verifying the end functionality is known as integration testing. Functional acceptance testing. What is mean by functional acceptance testing? So for a given requirements, you are testing all the, you are writing all the test scenarios and test cases for the new user stories and new requirements. So you are testing all the new features. We are calling it as a functional acceptance test. Okay. Under functional acceptance testing, we can also, regression testing is also part of functional acceptance testing. Testing of new features, testing of existing functionalities together we can comes under functional acceptance testing. So functional acceptance testing is testing the new requirements and as well as existing requirements is known as functional acceptance testing. So what is mean by UAT testing? UAT testing means user acceptance testing. So UAT testing means the client side team. So suppose you are working in an Capgemini. There is a functional testing team. So you are working as a tester role in that organization. So you have tested 200 test cases, new functionalities, and you have tested existing functionalities 800. So total 1000 test cases functionality you tested and all 1000 documents test evidences you tested perfectly. When the application it will go for the client side, means whoever is giving the amount to the organization. So the client side there is a dedicated engagement team, testing team will be there. So before the functionality it will go into production, the client side team they will test the application, that is known as UAT testing, user acceptance testing. So client side dedicated team they will do the final round of testing. So that is known as UAT testing. So that UAT testing it will be done on the UAT test environment. So UAT test environment means might be ICICI Bank UAT.com. ICICI Bank test.com means the application was tested on test environment. If the application was tested on UAT environments means HTTPS ICICI Bank UAT.com. So the final round of testing it will be done on the UAT environment. Once code is perfectly working on UAT, the code it will migrate to production environment. So ICICIBank.com, the code will be migrated from ICICI Bank UAT to ICICI Bank.com. Okay. So here UAT testing means it is the final round of testing. It will be done by the client side dedicated team. So that is the testing is known as UAT testing. So let's go to the UAT testing. UAT testing is critical part of software development. It ensures that system needs and expectation end users is ready for release. And by conducting verifying UAT testing types, so they have given so many things. Okay. So whatever I explained, you can test it. So it is the final round of testing done by the client side dedicated team. So that is known as UAT testing.
So clients will tell like the test in live environment and test environment. UAT means in live environment.
UAT means they will give some other application URL. ICICI Bank UAT.com.
They will have test environments also.
No. We have test environment. ICICI Bank test.com. Development team they will test the application on ICICI Bank dev.com. When it comes for the code into test environment, we will test the application on ICICI Bank test.com. When the code migrated to client side team, the code it will go into ICICI Bank UAT.com. So they will test all the new features and so if the client side dedicated, yeah, all these functionalities working, then let's move this code to ICICI Bank.com.
But when I logged in previous only, I saw that there is a test environment in client side also.
But client side, whatever application URL they are doing, yes, that is slightly it will be different. So that environment we will call it as a UAT environment. Sometimes, very rarely, even client side team also, they will use same test environment also. It is very rare, but all other cases, the application URL will be differs for UAT test environment. Okay. Might be budget issue, those kind of issues it will.
Like there is a dev and prod two environment will be there. So like production environment, development environment.
Yeah, we have like
Where pinpoint
development environment.
production.
Production environment means final environment. Okay, production or live environment. Okay, now what is the next thing? So in UAT testing, there are two types of testing skills: alpha testing and beta testing. Okay, let's go to the alpha testing is done in a controlled environment, usually by internal team or selected group of end users. The aim of this testing is to identify the defects before the system is released for beta testing. Okay, so whatever testing that we are doing, whatever testing that we are doing on the software applications, we can call it generally alpha testing. Okay, so alpha testing is done controlled in a controlled environment. So like environment means test environment like that. Usually by internal team, usually by our internal team means our testing team, and a selected group of end users. Okay, group of end users means UAT team as well. So the aim of this testing is to identify the defects before the system is released for beta testing. When it will go for a next level of final round of testing, so alpha testing can be done. And coming to beta testing involves releasing the software system to a larger group of end users outside the development team. So the aim of to identify the defects and gather feedback from the real users before the system is released to the public. So beta testing means generally, suppose in a Java versions, Java 9.0 beta version got released, Java 10.0 beta version got released. So the software, it will be directly delivered to the end users, and end users will use those features, and they will identify the issues while using that software. So the aim is to identify the defects and gather the feedback from the real users before the system is released to the public. Okay. And one more important point I want to tell. So alpha testing is done at a developer site. Alpha testing is done at a developer's site. Means beta testing is done at a end user site. So alpha testing is done at a developer site, means wherever developers are there, so there that kind of alpha testing will be done. Beta testing means that testing will be done at a end user side. So the actual testing, once it is going to the production, whoever is using those features, they will do. So generally we won't do beta testing. So whatever testing that we are doing, all that comes under alpha testing. Okay. So these are the types of testings. What is mean by system testing means, so previously I told only functional acceptance. Together progression and new functionalities we are testing, that is known as functional acceptance testing, I told. What is mean by actual system testing means testing the functional and non-functional requirements. It has to work with respect to system is known as system testing. If the system is working all functional aspect, if the system is not able to access for 10,000 customers also, we cannot say the system testing is passed. Thus, if you are saying system testing is passed, means it also satisfies non-functional requirements as well, like security, load, stress, volume. So it also needs to satisfy all non-functional requirements as well. So what is meant by system testing means it is a combination of testing functional and non-functional requirements. We can call it as a system testing. Okay. See, so types of software testing: manual testing and automation testing. So now let's come back to okay. I will explain this diagram by tomorrow. One second. So there is one more type of testing Exploratory testing. Nowadays, in every interviews, people are asking this question. What is meant by exploratory testing? Exploratory testing, particularly it will do in Agile Scrum methodology projects. Exploratory testing, particularly it will do in Agile Scrum methodology projects. Wherever projects are following Agile Scrum methodology, in those projects, people will follow exploratory testing. So generally, whenever you will get the requirements, what we will do, we will write test scenarios, and after that, we will write detailed steps of the test cases, all these activities. And in Agile Scrum methodology, yesterday we discussed there will be frequent requirement and design changes will be there. So the testers has to update their test cases, and the final version of test cases it will be uploaded into SharePoint. We discussed yesterday. So sometimes if the functionalities got completely changed and you don't have time to write the test scenarios and test cases, you just have a time. What is test case and test object? Test case and test object. You don't have to write preparation of test scenarios, preparation of detailed steps of test cases. Just you have written for the user story or for your requirement, you identify test case name and test object. Test case name, test object. So exploratory testing is a type of testing where test cases are not created in advance. We will check the system on fly. Means whenever the developers are giving application URL, we don't have time because the functionality was changed on Thursday itself. And we don't have time to write detailed test scenarios and test cases. We are directly testing the functionality we are checking the system on fly. So just we are having a discussion with our BA. So for this functionality, you have to test this one. For this functionality, you have. So we have listed out all the functionalities. That's it only. So we will check the system on fly. We will note down all high-level bullet point checks what needs to be tested. So exploratory testing particularly will be used in agile models. Because of short span of time in sprint duration, we have to go with this approach as exploratory testing. Testing the system on fly is called exploratory testing. Just we are note downing all the high level bullet point checks, what needs to be tested. This information we are discussing with the business analyst. Proper way of testing means you are going through the BRD document and you are written test scenarios, test cases, you have taken reviews and you have written test cases, all that comes under proper test. Exploratory testing, whenever requirements got changed completely and you don't have time, and this is that exploratory testing technique will be used in agile model. Okay guys, so today's class, the summary of the testing class is, summary of the things is, we understood what are the different types of testings. Okay, so what is functional testing, what is non-functional testing, we understood all these things. Okay, so you can go through this recorded class and you can go through this documentation. So guys, what people are doing, I have uploaded this testing.zip file. You need to extract this zip file, and the after extracting you will get a folder. In that folder it contains testing.html. Okay, just click on the testing.html. Most of the people are accessing the files from the zip file. If you are accessing the files from zip file, this document it won't work. Once you extract the zip folder, you will able to see testing folder. So from that testing folder only you can able to access this application. Okay. So that's it for today's class, and tomorrow's class we can discuss about what are the other types of testings. So what is meant by system testing means testing functional aspects and non-functional aspects, and you have to know each and every definition. Whenever you are attending for an manual testing interviews, you have to know what is load testing, what is stress testing, what is security testing, what is volume testing, have you worked on compatibility testing. So these kind of questions people will ask. Compatibility means we can test, okay, but it won't come under function. Sometimes you might have to test it, but it comes as a non-function. Okay, so these are the types of testings it covers as part of system test. Okay, so that's it for today's class, guys. You can also some of the people are not joining automation testing class. I will share the new link by 11 o'clock. Everybody can join in that session. Okay. One second, guys. Before closing the session, I want to tell you one more important. Let me stop the record.